Sustainable development goals have become crucial for businesses today for several reasons. First, there is a growing recognition that long-term business success depends on the health of our environment and societies. Climate change, resource scarcity, and social instability all pose direct risks to business operations. Second, stakeholder expectations have evolved dramatically. Customers, employees, and investors all increasingly demand sustainable practices and transparency. And this means that for businesses to be truly sustainable, they also need to take better account of micro-level dynamics such as equality and inclusion, two goals which now feature in the UN SDGs. Third, regulatory pressure is intensifying globally, with new requirements for environmental reporting and sustainable practices. Finally, businesses are realizing that addressing sustainability challenges opens new market opportunities and drives operational efficiency through reduced resource consumption and waste. For example, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development estimates that sustainable business opportunities could be worth over $12 trillion annually by 2030. A key component of sustainable development theories is that they call for the inclusion of future generations at the negotiation table about today's issues. So, simply put, these theories argue that promoting truly sustainable development must include the perspective of a more diverse pool of stakeholders. This is the same for businesses today. When organizations embrace diverse perspectives and ensure equal opportunities, they tap into a broader talent pool and better understand diverse market needs. This leads to more innovative solutions to sustainability challenges. Research shows diverse teams are more likely to develop products and services that serve all segments of society. For example, research shows that patents with all-female inventor teams are 35% more likely than all-male teams to focus on women's health. Female researchers are also more likely to discover female-focused ideas. Additionally, inclusive economic growth is essential for sustainable development. When all groups participate fully in the economy, it creates more stable and resilient societies. Fundamentally, we cannot achieve sustainable development without addressing systemic inequalities and ensuring all voices are heard in decision-making processes. Reducing inequality is essential for sustainable development because inequalities create systemic barriers to progress across all dimensions of sustainability. Income inequality, for instance, leads to reduced economic growth and social mobility, while also increasing environmental degradation as communities lack resources for sustainable practices. Gender inequality limits human capital development and innovation potential. The World Bank estimates that gender inequality costs the global economy about $160 trillion in lost wealth. Racial inequality perpetuates disparities in health outcomes, educational attainment, and economic opportunity, undermining social cohesion and stability. These forms of inequality are often interconnected and self-reinforcing. For example, communities facing racial discrimination often experience higher exposure to environmental hazards and climate risks. Addressing these inequalities is therefore crucial for creating the stable, inclusive societies needed for sustainable development. Organizations often make several key mistakes when addressing diversity and inclusion. First, many treat D&I as a compliance exercise or isolated HR initiative rather than integrating it into core business strategy. Second, there's often too much focus on diversity metrics without addressing underlying cultural and systemic barriers to inclusion. Third, companies frequently launch initiatives without adequate leadership commitment or resources, leading to superficial changes rather than meaningful transformation. Another common mistake is failing to address intersectionality, how different forms of diversity interact and overlap. Finally, many organizations struggle with accountability and measurement, not tracking progress effectively or holding leaders responsible for D&I outcomes. Success requires comprehensive, long-term commitment and systemic change rather than quick fixes. Creating a more just and sustainable future requires coordinated action across multiple dimensions. We need to transition to renewable energy and circular economy models while ensuring this transition is equitable and creates opportunities for all communities. Organizations should embed sustainability and inclusion into their core strategies, moving beyond CSR to transform their business models. Education and skills development are crucial to prepare people for green jobs and enable social mobility. We need stronger partnerships between business, government, and civil society to drive systemic change. Additionally, we must reform financial systems to better account for social and environmental impacts and ensure technological advances benefit all segments of society. Success requires both bold vision and practical action, combining ambitious goals with concrete steps toward their achievement.